Detroit Lions are about to enter a decisive phase in their rebuilding process, where every move and decision could shape the future of the franchise. With a roster that has shown progress but still requires important adjustments, the 2025 season will be a crucial moment. Expectations are high, but uncertainties also remain, especially when it comes to draft choices. These decisions will determine the team's direction in the coming years. As the Lions approach the 2025 season, the stakes have never been higher. The franchise has seen flashes of success in recent seasons, but there has also been a sense of unfinished business. There are positions that still need to be addressed, and the front office will need to make careful decisions to ensure they're heading in the right direction. The draft choices will play a pivotal role in filling those gaps and building a team that can compete for the long term. One of the most significant areas of concern is the quarterback position. While the Lions have invested in quarterbacks over the past few years, the question remains whether they have found their long-term answer. Jared Goff has been a steady presence under center, but there are doubts about whether he is the future of the franchise. The front office will need to evaluate his performance and decide whether it's time to move in a new direction or give him more time to develop further. Another key factor in the team's rebuilding process will be the defense. While the Lions have made some improvements on that side of the ball, there is still a need for more playmakers, particularly in the secondary and on the defensive line. The team has struggled to generate consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and improving the pass rush will be critical to the team's success in 2025 and beyond. The Lions' offensive line has been one of the team's strengths in recent seasons, but even that unit is not without its concerns. The team will need to ensure that they continue to build depth and find the right mix of players to protect the quarterback and open up lanes for the running game. With a promising young group of offensive skill players, it will be crucial that the line continues to improve and evolve. In the running back room, the Lions have a solid foundation with one of the league's top backs, but the depth behind him remains a question mark. Adding another dynamic playmaker to complement the starter could give the offense a much-needed boost. The team will also need to evaluate its tight end and wide receiver core to determine if they have enough talent to compete at a high level in the coming years. When it comes to the 2025 draft, the Lions find themselves in an interesting position. While they have some young talent already in place, they still have several holes to fill. The team's draft strategy will be critical, as they look to select players who can contribute immediately while also developing long-term assets. Whether they target defense or offense in the early rounds, the goal will be to bring in players who can step in and make an impact from day one. At the same time, the Lions will need to consider the development of their existing players. Young players like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell have shown great promise, and it will be important to continue to nurture their growth. Building around these key pieces while adding more talent through the draft will give the Lions the best chance to build a sustainable contender. The coaching staff will also play a major role in the team's success. Dan Campbell has been a passionate leader, but 2025 will be the year where his coaching ability will be truly tested. Can he get the best out of the players at his disposal? Will his staff be able to make the necessary in-game adjustments that have been lacking at times in recent seasons? These questions will be critical as the team looks to take the next step in its rebuild. The front office, led by General Manager Brad Holmes, will have a significant role to play in the team's future as well. Holmes has shown promise in his ability to draft and find talent, but now the pressure is on him to deliver a team that can compete at the highest level. The decisions he makes in the coming months will have lasting implications, especially when it comes to the roster and long-term financial commitments. The Detroit Lions fan base is hungry for success, and the franchise's loyal supporters are eagerly awaiting the next step in the team's journey. With an energetic coaching staff, a talented group of players, and a solid front office, the Lions have the potential to become a perennial contender if they can make the right moves. But they must be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the Lions' rebuild won't be completed overnight either. As the Lions enter this critical phase of their rebuild, there will undoubtedly be some bumps in the road. Not every decision will be perfect, and there will be setbacks along the way. However, with a clear vision and a commitment to improvement, the Lions can continue to progress and set themselves up for sustained success. The 2025 season will be a true test for the Detroit Lions, and all eyes will be on the team as they try to take that next step. Can they put all the pieces together? Will the coaching staff be able to maximize the potential of the roster? These are questions that will shape the narrative of the franchise for years to come. One thing is certain: the Lions are no longer in the early stages of their rebuild. The team has built a solid foundation, and now it's time to start making moves to push for playoff contention. The 2025 season will be the year that determines if they are truly ready to compete at the highest level, or if they still have more work to do. In the coming months, the Lions will need to make tough decisions about who stays and who goes. With a cap situation that is far from ideal, the front office will need to balance improving the roster with managing finances. This could mean letting go of some veterans who are no longer part of the long-term vision, while making room for younger, more cost-effective players who can contribute immediately. Despite the challenges, there is a sense of optimism around the Lions' future. The team has the pieces in place, and with a few key additions, they could become a force to be reckoned with in the NFC. The question remains, will they be able to capitalize on their opportunities and take the next step in their rebuilding process? The draft is always an exciting time for any NFL team, and the Lions are no exception. They have a solid stockpile of picks, and there is a real opportunity to find impact players who can step in right away. Whether it's adding a star pass rusher, a dynamic wide receiver, or a franchise quarterback, the Lions will need to make the most of their selections. The importance of the 2025 draft cannot be overstated. It will be a defining moment for the franchising, and the decisions made will reverberate for years to come. Fans are hopeful that this will be the draft that sets the Lions up for long-term success, and that the team will finally have the pieces in place to compete for championships. The team's ability to develop its young talent will also be a critical factor moving forward. Players like Jamison Williams and Alim McNeill will need to take the next step in their development. If the Lions are to truly compete, the coaching staff will need to ensure that these young players are put in positions to succeed and continue to grow as contributors to the team's success. If the Lions can find the right balance between veteran leadership and young talent, they could have the foundation for a successful and sustainable team. The 2025 season will be a defining year in the franchise's rebuild, and it will determine whether they are on the right path toward becoming a legitimate contender in the NFC. The Detroit Lions are about to enter a decisive phase in their rebuilding process, where every move and decision could shape the future of the franchise. With a roster that has shown flashes of promise, but also struggled with consistency, the team is at a crossroads. The upcoming season will be a critical test for both the players and the coaching staff, who must navigate the pressure of competing in one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL. A lot hinges on the development of key players, especially those in positions where the team has seen the most turnover in recent years. Quarterback remains a crucial focus for the Lions, as they search for stability and a long-term solution at the most important position on the field. While Jared Goff has shown signs of improvement since his trade to Detroit, the front office remains vigilant, looking for a potential upgrade if the right opportunity arises. Equally important is the performance of the offensive line, which has shown both strength and vulnerability in recent seasons. The Lions need to continue building depth and consistency along the line to give their quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers the time and space they need to perform at a high level. Protecting Goff and opening lanes for the run game will be pivotal to their success. At running back, Detroit has some promising young talent, but there's a need for a more reliable and dynamic presence in the backfield. This is an area that could be addressed in both the draft and free agency, as the team looks to strike a balance between developing homegrown talent and adding experienced players to the mix. The defense, on the other hand, is an area of concern for the Lions. While there have been notable individual performances, the defense as a whole has struggled with consistency and has often been a liability in high-pressure situations. The front seven needs to become more disruptive, while the secondary will need to make more plays on the ball to help turn the tide in close games. To elevate their defensive unit, the Lions will likely need to invest in both talent and coaching, with an eye on building a defense that can withstand the challenges of a high-octane NFC North. The front office may look for both free agent acquisitions and fresh, dynamic talent in the upcoming draft. As the team looks ahead to the next few seasons, coaching continuity will also play a key role in Detroit's success. Head coach Dan Campbell has shown great passion and leadership since taking the helm, but the pressure is mounting for him to lead the team back to playoff contention. His ability to motivate the players, adjust on the fly, and build a competitive culture will be crucial as the Lions work to move from rebuilding to contending. This offseason will be critical for evaluating Campbell's vision for the team as he continues to reshape the roster in his image. The Lions have some exciting young talent, but there is still a lot of work to do to close the gap with the top teams in the NFC. Campbell's leadership, along with a strong draft and solid free agent acquisitions, could help propel the Lions into a new era of success. One of the most exciting storylines for Detroit fans is the potential for growth from their younger players. A group of emerging stars, such as wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown and defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, could soon become cornerstones of the franchise. Their development will be key in determining how quickly the Lions can transition from a rebuilding team to a playoff contender. However, youth alone will not be enough. Veteran leadership will be vital to the team's progression. The Lions will need to lean on experienced players who can help guide the younger generation through the growing pains of building a competitive roster. The blend of youthful energy and veteran presence could be the recipe for long-term success. The Lions front office must also be strategic in its approach to player acquisitions. While there is excitement surrounding their young players, the team cannot afford to ignore areas of need, whether it's adding more weapons on offense or strengthening the defensive backfield. Smart roster moves will be essential for the Lions to make the leap from rebuilding to competing. One area where the Lions could see significant improvement is in their special teams unit. Special teams often get overlooked, but the Lions' struggles in this phase of the game have been evident in recent years. Whether it's inconsistent kick returns, punting struggles, or missed field goals, Detroit must address these issues if they are to become a more complete team. The fan base has been patient with the rebuilding process, but the time for patience is starting to wear thin. Detroit's passionate supporters are eager to see their team return to prominence, and they are looking for signs that the Lions are on the right path. The pressure to perform is mounting, and the Lions must rise to the occasion. Looking ahead to the 2023 season, the NFC North will continue to be a formidable challenge, with the Green Bay Packers always a threat, and the Minnesota Vikings continuing to build on their success. The Lions will have their work cut out for them. But with the right combination of talent, coaching, and execution, Detroit can make a serious run at the division crown. Offensively, the Lions will need to find more balance in their attack. While they've had some success through the air, their rushing attack must improve to become more dynamic. A balanced offense will make them less predictable and give opposing defenses more to worry about. On defense, the Lions will need to become more opportunistic. Turnovers have been a significant issue in recent seasons, and creating more turnovers could make a big difference in close games. A more aggressive approach could pay off, especially if the front seven is able to get more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. The Detroit Lions are in a pivotal stage of their journey, and their decisions this offseason will determine the trajectory of the franchise for years to come. Whether they are able to build on their progress or face another setback will depend on how well they address their weaknesses and leverage their strengths. For Detroit fans, the hope is that the long-awaited turnaround is just around the corner. In the coming months, the Lions front office will need to stay active in scouting and evaluating talent, as well as being prepared to make bold moves when the opportunity arises. There will be no shortage of challenges, but the rewards for success could be monumental. For the Lions to be successful, the entire organization must be aligned in its vision. The coaching staff, players, and front office must work in tandem to create a culture of accountability and perseverance. Detroit's loyal fan base is ready to support their team through thick and thin, but they also want to see tangible results. On the field, the time is now for the Lions to take the next step forward. The journey to becoming a contender is never easy, but with the right pieces in place, the Lions can be poised for a brighter future. The steps they take in this critical phase of their rebuild will be remembered as the foundation of the next great era in Detroit Lions football. As the Lions continue to build their roster, they will also need to focus on their team culture. Dan Campbell has brought a tough blue-collar mentality to the team, and that has resonated with many players and fans. Maintaining that culture, while adding new talent, will be essential in ensuring the team's success in the years to come. The next few years will be pivotal for the Detroit Lions. There is a strong sense that the franchise is on the verge of something special, but it will take time, effort, and smart decisions to get there. With the right moves in the 2025 season, the Lions could find themselves in the mix for playoff contention with a bright future ahead. Ultimately, the future of the Detroit Lions will depend on their ability to continue to develop their young players, make smart draft picks, and build a balanced roster. It won't be easy, but with a committed front office, a passionate coaching staff, and a fan base that believes in the process, the Lions have the potential to turn the corner and become a consistent playoff contender in the NFL.